Welcome to It's True, Tales of the Paranormal, exploring the inexplicable. Most encounters with the odd are quite explainable. An overwhelming number, 80 to 90% in fact, will find very logical explanation. Our focus is on that 10 to 20% that do not. It's time to give a voice to real encounters and share genuine experiences of the paranormal. And now, it's true.
Thank you, Adam, and welcome to It's True, Tales of the Paranormal. Our show's really about you, about your encounters with the unexplainable, genuine, true experiences. We want to give you a voice, a forum to share those stories. Some can be unsettling, some are no big deal, some are downright disturbing, but they're your stories. So this is about you sharing genuine experiences, apparitions, UFO or UAP sightings, objects moving, things appearing, you name it. Bottom line, odd occurrences, that's what our show is about. And I say our because honestly, I've never had a paranormal experience. Yeah, some oddities surrounding my dad's death, or once I saw a bright blue orb when I was jogging home one night. But that's about it. Nothing earth-shatteringly beyond the norm on my end. So this is your forum to share. You have a story, reach out, visit our website, email us. We'll talk about your experiences, maybe even bring you on the show. So with all that said, in all honesty, it doesn't get much better than our first guest. He's a retired school teacher who has had some very interesting encounters himself, a lot of history of the paranormal within his family, which is where we'll start today. And yes, we want to focus on those firsthand experiences, so we'll get to those as well in this episode or down the road. But when we return, we will meet Mr. Scott Garlington.
Hey cigar lovers, the cigar of the month at Smokies is my favorite, the Oliva G. Buy 3 of the excellent cigar and you can get one free. Plus, the entire Oliva line is 20% off boxes this month. Get over to Smokies and take advantage of these great deals, swag and door prizes only at Smokies, Knoxville Cigar Store.
All right, welcome back. And now a very, very special guest with us. Mr. G is what your students called you.
That's
right?
Correct, yes.
All right. No string attached to that because this is a family show, right?
That's right.
All right. I remember the first time I heard this story and the string of stories that we'll get into today. But I had a bunch of people over, and we were supposed to watch or look at vacation photos. I think Val, maybe Val had gone to Europe or something.
I think so.
We were gonna, and you got into talking about these stories,
Right.
and that flew out the window because everyone got so absorbed in these stories. That was our main focus. I mean, in fact, our friend Sam, who's a pretty big guy, left about 8:30. He got so scared by these stories.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that left. He didn't even bother to open the door. He just barreled right through it and left me with a Sam-shaped hole in the wall. So I mean, he was pretty freaked out. Share with us the tale of the Black Hand.
The Black Hand.
Yes.
Okay, this tale was told over and over, probably, I'm going to say over the course of 50 years by my mother and grandmother. And my grandmother died in 1972, and my mother didn't pass until 2001. And by doing family genealogy, I later pieced together, plus the age that they said that my mother was. This was the year 1938. And, the scene is Knoxville, Tennessee. I was here in Knoxville. It was a summer night. They had the front door open, the screen door only was shut, and they were in the living room. And my grandfather was at work. They were waiting on him to get home. My aunt, my mother's sister, was in another room of the house. And they had a couch. Again, this was the living room. And they had a couch that was positioned cat-cornered in that room. And apparently, they were lying there on the couch. My mother is, she thought 10 or 11. So this makes it 1937 or 38. And they were kind of spooning on the couch. My grandmother had her back against the back of the couch. My mother was in front of her. And they'd been talking quietly for quite a few minutes. And then there was a little lull in the conversation. And my mother later recounted she was just about, she was getting a little bit sleepy, maybe getting ready to drift off to sleep. And all of a sudden, my grandmother said, "Dot," in a very serious tone, "Dot, look at this." And when she turns around, they said there was this arm that had come over the back of the couch. And when pressed, you could ask them this over and over again. When pressed to describe, details about this thing, they said it literally looked rotten. It was jet black. It looked like a corpse arm. The fingernails were long, and they said the fingernails were crumbling as if the whole thing was rotten. And what this arm and hand was doing, the index finger was extended, and he was just lightly tapping my grandmother on the shoulder. Just tapping, tapping, tapping. And as my mother watched, it kept on tapping her on the shoulder. Apparently my mother, after being speechless for a few moments, screamed. And when she did so, they said that this thing, I guess I'll describe it as a thing, retracted over the back of the couch. And they said they literally heard it fall and hit the floor with a thud, suggesting that it was not part of a body. It was detached. So if it was part of a body, he or it or whatever let his arm, they said, just hit the floor full weight. Well, they jump up off the couch and they go yelling in the other room, screaming. My aunt Mary was a rather robust woman. She once took Kentucky Fried Chicken away from a bear. Yeah, this was later in the 50s, and they were up at the Chimneys picnic area in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and the bear came, and they all fled into the car, and they left the chicken there. And she ignored all their warnings, and she went and took the chicken away from the bear.
Robust may not be the do her justice.
Very courageous.
What was she related to Colonel Sanders? Was she just really loves this chicken?
I guess she was hungry that day.
I guess so.
Well,
so they run in to see Mary.
Get to Aunt Mary, and
knowing that she can kick a bear's ass, so for some
she
chicken,
can do
then
that.
She's going to help out.
They think the Black Hand maybe doesn't stand a chance.
No.
And
my mother's on Mary, I can tell you.
She, showing no fear as Mary never did, she just jerked that couch out away from that corner, and there was nothing there.
Wow.
So, here's the thing about it. I know that people who listen to this will say, well, okay, they made it up for attention.
Yeah, right.
But
and we've talked about all that, and it seems to really fall in line with a very credible story when you look at those aspects. The story didn't change over the years, correct?
Right.
I mean, you heard the story multiple times.
Right.
And it didn't change. Second, they were uncomfortable talking about the story.
Right.
I mean, from what you have indicated, they didn't want attention for this.
No. And within minutes, they thought 20 minutes, there was a knock on the door, and one of our relatives was dead. And they were informed that one of our relatives on the Loveday side had passed away. And when I did the genealogy, I couldn't pinpoint which relative because about 3 people died that year that we were related to. So it could have been one of the 3, and I couldn't pinpoint that. But what the consensus opinion in the family came to be over the years was that the 2 women honestly believed they had seen something. You know, and it's like you pointed out a moment ago, when people have made something up for attention, over time, almost invariably, their story will change.
Yes.
They will twist details, they'll contradict themselves, they'll contradict each other.
Yeah.
And even 50 years later, 1988, 1998, 60 years later, my mother's story did not falter in one detail, nor did my grandmother's.
Yeah.
That they did become very solemn when they were telling it, almost fearful. And
It's a very unsettling experience, I'm sure.
oh yeah, yeah,
And they reflected that in their telling of it.
right. It affected me hearing it as a child. I can remember even in, I don't know, early teens, 11, 12, I was kind of afraid I would see it.
Yeah.
Because I was part of that family. I was
Yeah.
a little bit afraid I would see it one day.
Yeah.
When asked what they thought it was, they offered no explanation, except I think my grandmother said one time it was some sort of warning. I guess in regard to the relative's death.
Yeah.
So that was 1938.
Within minutes of this experience, there's a knock on the door.
They thought within 20 minutes.
Okay. Wow. I mean, there's got to be connection there, right?
Yeah,
Scott?
yeah. I would think so. Yeah.
Wow. That's just unreal.
I tried to corner my mother on it probably, I don't know, this was probably early 90s. So how much time had passed? 55 years?
Yeah.
I said, we were riding in the car one day, and I said, Mom, come on, seriously. Did you guys make up that story about the Black Hand?
Yeah.
And she was like, Scott, no, we didn't make that up. That happened, and I saw that. And she was very adamant about it. And so as I said, you know, in the family at large, everyone believed that they had seen something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
but you have 2 individuals experiencing this.
right,
They corroborate each other perfectly.
right,
I see a lot of credibility with what they're saying, so it's a fascinating account. I've seen paranormal shows, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
One in particular where there was a hand of rotted flesh reaching out from a closet.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of thing is out there, I guess. At least those stories are being recounted along those lines, and it made me think of this, obviously.
One detail I always thought it would have been difficult to make up. I can see, you know, it being rotten. I can see the crusted, you know, crumbling fingernails.
Yeah.
But the fact that they said they heard it fall and hit the floor with a thud, I just thought that would be difficult to make up.
Yeah. Well, that's an odd twist to that story. It retracting after poking her on the shoulder is one thing, but the fall,
Right.
that is just mind blowing, really.
Right.
But the connection to the relative that passed within 20 minutes is just
Exactly.
just phenomenal. There's a connection there. So, but fascinating story. You know.
I personally, and I don't believe in ghosts per
don't?
se. I really don't. I believe that there are things that are beyond our comprehension. What was it Shakespeare wrote? There's more things in heaven and earth than our philosophies dream of.
Yeah.
But I believe they saw something. I really do.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. The Tale of the Black Hand. A story that is quite out there, to say the least, but yet a story that checks a few boxes of credibility, at least as I assess these kind of inexplicable encounters. It's witnessed by more than one person, for instance. Both, according to Mr. G, corroborate those events. It's experienced by individuals not seeking attention, not even comfortable recounting what they witnessed. And all coinciding with the ever coincidental death of a family member shortly thereafter. So strange account indeed, the tale of the Black Hand, and only one that you yourself can determine if it is true on Tales of the Paranormal. So we'll see you next week as we explore some more accounts, a few first-hand accounts from Mr. G. Thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe and share, and have a great week. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to It's True, Tales of the Paranormal. Subscribe today to receive updates on new episodes and Tales of the Paranormal.